All right. Welcome to CAF's update number 9. We're going to do something a little bit different today where I'm going to do the update as I always have, but I've got a couple of guests waiting in the green room, so it should be a lot of fun this evening. Wanted to go over a couple things that I've been wrapping up on CAF the past week. And as you know, a couple weeks ago, we talked a lot about the not work safe issues that we were having related to people not properly moderating their own artwork. And I had a call out for some moderator volunteers, and we ended up getting about a dozen of them. So what we've been doing is going through a process of just reevaluating the terms and conditions as they relate to the not work safe images on the site and what should be moderated and shouldn't. And we're kind of almost through that process, and we've kind of been training each other to follow these moderation rules properly. So hopefully within the next week, we'll kind of get that started in a bit more full force. And, most CAF users will not notice a darn thing being different about anything. It'll just be, but it should be a bit cleaner, and it'll be a good start for us to handle that issue on the site. Today, I started the whole day. We're planning on working on a lot of different things for CAF, and we ended up having to deal with some bots crawling dealer sites primarily and fending those off for most of the day. So I kind of had a rather wasted day, which wasn't good for me because I had a lot of stuff I wanted to get done on CAF, but that's all right. So we're going to just roll right into the auction house report, namely because auction houses did much better than dealers did this past week. Dealers, I think, took a week off. Maybe it was the Labor Day holiday, the end of the August European holiday. I don't know, but dealers really didn't do very well this week. But auction houses had better than average week, and although I don't have Comic Links data to add to it, I figured I would throw a few pieces from them into this update just to kind of give you a better overview on the sales that did happen. If I would have been able to include Comic Links sales from their September 1st auction, it probably would have added another 400,000 or whatnot. But as it stands, this week there was $268,000 in auction house sales that we tracked, and that was down from 388 the week before. But that 388 was skewed by that rather highly priced Joe Sinnott piece that went for 83,000 in that period. And of course, this is for the period August 31st through September 6th. So let me pull up the auction pieces for you. And this is from Comic Link. It was a Todd McFarlane page, Amazing Spider-Man 317, sold for $58,544. I think that's a pretty reasonable price for a piece of McFarlane interior piece like that. And then I brought this piece up. It wasn't the second highest sale, but I really liked it a lot. A George Tuska Iron Man cover. Really like it a lot. I like the campy quality of a lot of early Marvel art like that. This was sold on eBay and actually through the Australian website, sold for just over $9,000. An Alan Davis piece, completely mismarked. It just said Alan Davis original comic book artwork. I mean, who would know that it was an X-Men clandestine piece? And then this was you rarely see it, a CGC graded piece of artwork, Jim Lee, on eBay as well, sold for $5,655. And then this was on Heritage. It was a Dick Moore Mickey Mouse cover, number 37, sold for $5,280. We don't see a lot of Disney related art in the top sales usually. And same with strip art. Doesn't usually fall too high, but this week the second highest sale was for Chester Gould Dick Tracy Daily. So, again, a little bit out of the norm, but I think those were good examples from the week. And of course, if you check out the blog post that covered all of the auction sales, you can see a lot more things in more detail. Now, like I mentioned, I was going to put together a dealer slideshow for what happened last week, but again, it was just the sales were rather mediocre. There were no real high hitting items. Albert was the top seller for that week, selling just over $40,000 in artwork, with Felix coming in second around 18.5, and then Romita Man with he had 14 sales that amounted to about $17,000. So it just wasn't a really stellar week, and I think that the holiday weekend just people weren't doing a lot of updates. As we already seen, Albert's done an update this week. Felix has done an art drop. Panel Page dropped a bunch of Liefeld prelims yesterday, I believe. So I'm quite confident that next week we're going to see a lot more sales from dealers versus what we got to see this past week. So with that, I want to get into the most popular artwork on CAF that was posted. Unlike the prior week where there was just straight up almost all covers, this time around there was a pretty diverse set of pieces of artwork that made it into the popular list for me. The first up is this John Buscema Avengers 178 cover. This is in Kirk Dilbeck's collection. Kirk, of course, runs Three Wishes, a comic art rep dealer. He has a really good taste in art, and he likes a lot of stuff with Avengers. Next up is this great piece, Giant Size X-Men #1. It's almost all stat, owned by Dinesh, but honestly, it's an incredible piece of history, and I know that he's really thrilled to own that. And I thought it was funny that this Marvel Team Up Annual #1 title page also was up in the list from Wes Steffen. It's almost an identical image to that giant size piece. This is an Ed Bennis. I forget what it was. It was always a Batman annual cover, and it's in the collection of Paul P. Paul seems to come up with one great piece or more every single week. And of course, this is Frank Miller's Sin City collection of Bob Fish. Lots of great Miller action in this, especially in that top panel. And of course, this was sold in the Comic Link auction on September 1st. It's a Neal Adams Detective Comics 418 cover from 1971. And next up, I thought this was a great Whilce Portacio and Art Thibert piece from Uncanny X-Men #282 from 1991 in Rabbit Ferret's gallery. I love the names on some of our galleries in CAF. This, of course, is the Daredevil 80 cover by Gil Kane and Frank Giacoya in the collection of Glenn Brunswick. This is, we haven't seen Earl Norem in any of these lists before, but this is a Savage Sword of Conan cover, #164 in Steve Filosa's CAF gallery. And I really am not too familiar with Ted Halsted and Greg Adams, but I thought this Venom cover was pretty cool. Again, Paul P's collection, so he had two covers in this week. This is a New Avengers Illuminati page, splash page in Fillmore Bedwick's CAF gallery by Jimmy Cheung and Mark Morales. And of course, another Daniel Warren Johnson commission. This time it's Akira in a collection of Jeff Singh. Felix guys have continued to make cover quality commissions, and that's another one. This is Harley Quinn in the collection of Greg and Amanda Spatz, and it's done by Annie Stegg Gerard. Annie's a imaginative realism painter. She's really well known in science fiction fantasy, so not as well known in our neck of the woods. And of course, this is a Dark Knight Returns #1, page 1, unused introduction to the book. It said it had Jansen inks, and it was probably all Miller. That was also in the collection of Dinesh. So all that being out of the way, what I wanted to do next is bring in my good friend and art dealer, Anthony Snyder. Anthony has been on our Comic Art Live chat in the past, and he's a lot of fun to chat with. And I know a lot of people have always been thrilled to hear the man speak, because many of you have already bought artwork from him and haven't got to meet him at cons. And so there are no cons, so this is how we get to meet everybody nowadays. So here is Anthony Snyder. How you doing, Anthony?
Hey, Bill. How are you? I'm well. I'm okay. Things are good. Business is good.
Yeah.
So
So the question I wanted to ask you, and I think a lot of people would like to know, is obviously no cons. So in the last 5 months, I mean, you've had a hustle in ways that you probably haven't had a hustle before, right? So I mean, is that true?
Yeah. The business definitely. It all started with the Boston Con being canceled. They were flying SOD in, and we were planning a big weekend, and I was all comped into that show, and that was a big disappointment. And then it was just all dominoes from there. And then during the real shutdown, online sales were up probably 100%, and things were, I was able to keep all my staff, and everybody was busy, and we were getting out up to 200 packages a day, and that was, that kept us all going. That kept us all motivated, and I got a chance while people weren't going out and about. I got a chance to really, cannibalize some of the stuff I've been sitting on and just too busy, doing shows and, working on stuff that was laying around basically. And I found a lot of value that way. Mm-hmm. And so that was good because nobody in the country lost more show days than I did, my Comic-Con across America and all that. But, we kind of refocused and, with the online business and got specific with things like that.
Right. Well, I thought that we had talked a few times early in the during COVID, and you had talked about how, in a weird way, it was advantageous to your business to have comic art shops closed because at the end of the day, people had to switch to mail order, and you thought, I think you thought that a lot of your eBay sales picked up quite well at the beginning of COVID, just because other shops were closed, and you probably have one of the largest inventories on eBay as far as comic books go. And then on your site, I'd say, I don't think anybody has more art on their dealer site than you do. So in a way, you were kind of well positioned to do well while all this was going on.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. The comic books, we really worked on the inventory and discounted a lot and gave people a lot of value. We were selling, Silver Age books for $5, and people were ordering 20, 30, 40, 50 of them at a time. And, I have the most volume on my website, I think, by population, when I look at your numbers. So, there's a couple guys in the country that have more value. But as far as volume, you were talking about how this week wasn't so great for people, but like Monday, we were very busy. I mean, we have kind of a reverse vacation thing going with, on a Monday, like a Labor Day like that, we're balls out on the websites, filling orders and working on, a couple hundred orders on a day like that, because people are home, shopping and buying themselves something. And that happened a lot during the lockdown here, especially in North Jersey, where it was bad. It was bad. I mean, we were very precautious. We weren't seeing anybody in the, my store was shut down, and then the warehouse, no one could come in. So we just started seeing people as the governor, released restrictions and stuff like that. So everybody was being very safe and in regards to that. So that's, a lot of people, with the stores shut, they had to spend their money someplace. And, the eBay sales on smaller stuff, and volume stuff was up 100%, like I said. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's true.
You mentioned that on your report that large Joe Sinnott piece, but it was the art of John Buscema cover that his grandson was selling. It was the John Buscema piece. Yeah, you said Sinnott, but it was because I was bidding on that and I got blown out of the water. I love that piece. That was being sold by his grandson, Anthony, and I was like, to Anthony, John Buscema, and I'm like, oh my God, that went for about double what I thought it was going to go for. Yeah, $80,000. Yeah.
Oh, really? I mean, I was thinking it was going to go for 70, but I thought maybe on Heritage it might have done better than that. It's not been on the market, so at the end of the day, that's usually what drives thrill buying. So.
But we're looking forward to getting shows off the ground, and I invited, tried to get Joe involved here to talk about how we're going to try to make the Comic Art Con a success. So let's bring him in and start talking about that and how we can make that a success.
Absolutely. Hey, Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Joe.
Appreciate it. Hey, how's it going?
Good. I'm good. Wow, I look really tan compared to you.
You know what? Everybody looks tan compared to me, to be honest with you.
Well, I sit outside all day. I don't sit inside my warehouse because I don't want to be in the air that everybody else is breathing. So I sit outside all day. That's why I look tan.
Lucky you.
I should start doing that.
So
I didn't know
Joe,
lawyers could sit outside.
We can't. That's why we look like like we're allergic to the sun, like vampires.
right. Well, that's why I'm pale, because I sit in front of a computer all day.
That's me too.
So, yeah. But Joe, so obviously you got the show coming up on the 20th.
Yep.
And what I want to talk about was just how did you work that out with the venue and wrangling to get the dealer commitments and kind of what you've had to do in this downtime to kind of keep the shows, at least the name out there, and because I imagine you have to have a lot of people emailing you on the side wanting to know what's going on.
Right. Well, I own a convention business. Just to take it a step back, I own 5 conventions in total that I brand. And January, February, March, obviously for everybody, things were great. It was looking to be a banner year. And then obviously, I'm not going to even mention the name, but I'll just call it the virus. Just shut everything down. So it wasn't just the comic art show, but it was all of my shows. It was the 30,000 followers. It was the dealers, 500-600 dealers that are, not just entertainment. We don't use it just for entertainment, but these people relied on this for their income. It was a very huge part of their existence that they, put food on the table for their families, and it was just ripped out from underneath everybody. So it took a lot of, it was almost counseling. It was almost like, positivity. We're going to get through it. How do you gauge something like this? Every week it was something different. President saying one thing, Democrats saying another. Everybody's feelings emotionally are back and forth onto, some people saying to me, Joe, you don't need masks. This is bull. This is going to go away. And then you have other people saying that if you do this show during a pandemic, you're the worst person on the planet. It was literally like that on a day to day. And I think after 3 or 4 months, we're finally getting a feeling of, I don't know, I feel like there's hope. I feel light at the end of the tunnel. Like, are things perfect? Absolutely not. Is there a cure? Is there a vaccine? No, not yet. Is there treatments? They say it's coming. But I feel like if we're responsible and smart, that we could socially gather safely. It's that simple. So with the art show coming up, I said, well, how do I do this? How do I show the Holiday Inn, a big company, that I'm going to do this right? It took a lot of, not even convincing. It took reading over the executive orders with them, going over with them to say, we're more retail. We don't need food. We don't need drinks. We'll have less tables. We'll social distance the vendors themselves. Will be 8 foot off the wall plus the table. That gives a 10-foot gap. Everybody has to wear masks. Everybody has to hand sanitize. We temperature check. We're going above and beyond to make sure that we could gather safely and still have fun. And in my other shows, I've done it very successfully with a lot more people. Give or take 100 people come to Comic Art Con. Give or take. My other shows, 4,000 come, 5,000 come. My monthly show where I just saw Anthony, 500 or 600 people come. I have to rent double the amount of space. It costs more, insurance, everything else. I could go on and on. I don't want to bore your audience, but there's a lot that we could do to ensure the safety of everyone. But at the end of the day, at the core of it, is that it still brings joy to people's life. And we're still there. Yeah, we have a mask on. Yeah, we just hand sanitize. We're not hugging or high-fiving anymore, but we're happy to be there.
Right.
That's the key. That's the key. So I think it's coming around, and I've seen it with my other shows where a lot more people attend. So I feel like Comic Art Con compared to my others is, quite frankly, a layup. It could happen.
Right.
Yeah,
right. Well, definitely with the smaller groups too. What's
that, Bill?
Oh, I said, well, definitely with the smaller groups too. That's got to help. Granted, you have to have a bigger space, but if you're only bringing in 100 people and 10 or a dozen dealers, that's more, doable. And I would have to think that anybody attending would have to feel a little bit more confident about being able to socially distance themselves from other guests or the dealer across the table, that sort of thing.
I mean, you have to look at what the
Yeah, so-
NBA did. The NBA did a nice small bubble. There's only 10 players on the team. You know, you create that bubble, that safe environment. If they could do it, you know, and save you know, all those TV revenue. Does it look the same? Is it the same? Of course not. But what's the same now, right? What's the alternative? Never play basketball again? Never have a show again? Never do anything play again? Right?
You know, football has to get off the ground, or their biggest client is the TV contract, and they have to fulfill that, or they lose billions on the season. So that's going to happen. You know that, and you know the Kansas City game is going on right now.
Right. I never thought football was going to even happen. Like you told me back in March that Goodell is saying that, you know, football is going to start at this date, September 10th. I was like, no way. But look, first game's on today. You know, you find a way.
You know, I supported your either toy show in the new location where you basically, what'd you do? Triple the size of it? I mean, in the square footage?
Yep.
Triple?
I went from 4,500 square feet to 11,000 square feet. You're almost right on the money.
Yeah.
And added
that was great.
How open was it? Right?
Yeah, I felt very comfortable. I only shopped it. There was another comic book show that John Paul had, and he doubled his space too. And so he could put the dealer tables a few feet apart, and then he staggered the crowd. And I tell you, there was an enthusiastic crowd at that show. I didn't set up there, but then a lot of people that I spend money with that I support, you know, we're saying, oh, this is the best show I've ever had, the best John Paul show I ever had. And, you know, I know you got really good feedback from your vendors at the toy show. I went there. I spent a few $1,000s there, you know, so that was, you know, it was good to support some of the people that, like, you know, obviously, you know, it's a big part of their income again to, you know, on the monthlies to do well there.
Mm-hmm. And Anthony, you're right. A lot of the vendors said to me after the show, best toy show, Wayne show, monthly show they've ever had. And the show has been around for 35 years, you know? And so many people walked out saying, you know what, thank you so much for making me feel safe. I mean, how nice is that?
Yeah, it was very comfortable. And I think we'll be able to accomplish the same thing at the Holiday Inn. There's fewer dealers that are going to show up, probably because of state line issues type thing. But, you know, I'm going to bring my whole inventory because I'm going to have some extra space there. And, you know, I'm going to make myself available to get this season started again because it's just too, you know, Bill just told me that Baltimore canceled, you know. I'm like, oh, no, not another one, you know. I was kind of holding out hope for Baltimore because I had a great Baltimore last year. It was great. Not just good, great.
I always love that show.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, he doesn't like me saying it, but I think, you know, that North Carolina show are the best AAA shows in the country, you know, for, you know, there, you know what I mean? You know, they're not the New York Comic Con, which is too big, or the San Diego Con, which is too crowded and too hard to get into. And but the accessibility of a Baltimore or North Carolina like that for the true comic book and comic art fan is, you know, it's just great.
And I think you're going to see shows continue to grow like that because there's such pent up demand right now. The number of people that
definitely pent up demand.
People that call me, text me, email me, please get the shows back, please. It provides it's not just about the items that are there. It's the, you know, people crave connection. You know, we all do. I mean, we're human, you know, and then to share your likes, your hobbies with other like-minded people, you know, that's what it's about. And that's why, and Bill and I have been talking about this for a while, I'm very excited about 2021 adding a virtual component where globally people could come into my big show, ToyCon New Jersey, or the monthly Wayne show and get that excitement, you know, for people that obviously can't attend, you know, or, you know, they're across the country, they're who knows, you know, but make people feel a part of it no matter where they are. You know, it's powerful.
Yeah. Now, Joe, one of the things that came up when we were talking earlier was that, I always assumed that you had these other shows before you did Comic Art Con.
Right.
And that Comic Art Con was just like an offshoot of, your collecting passion or whatnot. And that's why the show came about. So, but what really was the order of things, and how did you kind of start the show to begin with?
A dealer was that JP show that Anthony was just talking about. And the dealer called me and says, "Hey, Joe, there's somebody here that's never set up before, but he's got a lot of comic book art there." So I ran over there, and it happened to be Dan Gallo. And Dan and I just hit it off. I'm not one to jump into business partnerships and not know somebody for a while but we just instantly hit it off. Today we're great friends. And then he became my business partner in the first Comic Art Con, which is in 2009 already. We ran 3 shows and then 2 shows every year thereafter, except for, of course, this year, which September 20th will be the first of this year and only of this year. And then from there, I realized, I'm sure everybody can relate to this at some point or another. You work so hard to get somewhere, you go to school, you do whatever, and then 10 years you're in the business, and I'm a lawyer, and I'm scratching my head saying, this is it? Like, there wasn't the joy that I got from collecting or pop culture or all the things that I was into. So I found that that doing the show, hosting the show, like filled that void for me. And I said, well, how do I do more of this? How do I monetize this into a business? So I wound up purchasing, years later, I wound up purchasing 2 other shows, very big shows that were in the area, and I've grown them immensely. And I've started 2 other shows on top of it. So, Comic Art Con always has like a special place in my heart simply because it was the first. It got me thinking about doing this more as a business. Now, is Comic Art Con this profitable juggernaut like my other conventions are? No, but it's the foundation of how I got into it. How I'm here right now. Talking to you, meeting Anthony, meeting so many good friends. It's just my first stream video talking about Comic Art Con. It's fitting to me. So it's been very rewarding over the years, and I'm hoping to keep building all the shows and keep pushing the virtual next year and some other ideas I have as well.
Very cool.
I know Bill's been talking about, this is necessity is the mother of invention here with adding the virtual aspect to existing shows. And that's becoming a big part of your potential business component, right, Bill?
Well, I think that, for CAF, it's definitely going to be, something I'm going to do every, twice a year, just like Comic Art Con with Joe, just doing something that I think is going to be fun through CAF. But it has opened up opportunities. I'm putting together a virtual show for the IX Art Show that's in Reading, Pennsylvania every year in October. So that's something that actually is going to be launching in the next couple days. And they're going to make that into a year-round site. So, and use it as leverage to, accentuate the show in ways that a 5-day art show couldn't, just can't do when it's landlocked to a given location. So I think that's a really interesting concept that, they're looking at it, and they're looking at doing like regular programming throughout the year. So they're going to actually sell like VIP tickets that will get these people kind of unique access to the show when it happens in October. But they're going to have access to webinars that these guys are going to put on at least 3 or 4 times a month throughout the year until the next show comes in. And it all is part of that VIP ticket. And so, it's a very interesting, business model. And it's all back to when you're a show in Reading, PA, you're only going to draw, 85% of the people who are going to attend as a attendee, not a guest, are local. So you put it online and you open it up and you open ticket sales up for something like that. You're going to probably expand it from 500 tickets to 1,000 tickets, and I can't see how it couldn't, as long as it's put on well and done right. And I think that applies to CAF, and it can definitely apply to, a lot of the things that you do, Joe. And I think cons would be foolish going forward not to consider, an online component to their shows when they put them on. San Diego is not going to sell 150,000 tickets next year, even if they can have it. There'll be, their occupancy laws will change. And I just think it's a challenge when, if they're only able to have 50% of the attendees come in, then how many exhibitors are going to want to spend the choice price to have a booth at a place that they know there's only going to be 50% of the attendees coming in? It's like, and you can see it being very debilitating for shows. So they need to find ways to expand the audience online, and find ways for their exhibitors to have other revenue streams than just the people right in front of them. There needs to be more value added than just that point of contact, at least for the the next few years.
Right. I mean, I also think that. Go ahead, Anthony. Go.
I miss the action. I just and to hear like, oh, if San Diego cuts their attendance down 50%, it's like that's really going to kill the vintage market at the show even more. Because I've been setting up there for 20 years, and it's dwindled as the older, more mature, more affluent collector has been pushed out. So if they go like smaller attendance, it's like that older collector that has money to spend is even going to get pushed out even more, and that's just horrifying. To make that trip profitable, because they're the older guys, more susceptible. That's the guy who has the money to spend in the hobby, that can buy a bigger piece. And if they're going to stay away because there's so many kids running around irresponsibly, man, that doesn't bode well for huge live shows in the near future.
It's true.
Yeah, and I didn't even think of it like that. I mean, you're right. I mean, if you're over 60, are you going to want to go to a con when half the attendees are between 18 and 30, and all have young kids and are ripe for carrying COVID? You're probably not going to want to go. I didn't even think about it like that, and it's all hypothetical as far as the space and attendees. But I'm sure, Joe, you ran into that where you said, I had to double my space to have the same number of people come in. San Diego can't do that. They can't expand at all. None of no show that I can think of that's scale can really expand. I mean, look at the Javits. I mean, they're remodeling it to allow for more space, but they can't expand that either. So it's probably not a hypothetical. It's true. That's what's going to happen. But hey, Joe, here was a question somebody had for you. James Cawley was asking if Isherwood will be back this year with a table.
Not this year. No.
Now he's Canadian, so he has to come across the border, and that's just not going to happen right now.
Right, and that's where the virtual comes in too. People that really wanted to. And I had people from Europe that would come. Literally, I mean, it's a small show, but they would come from Europe. They would come from Cali. They would come from South America. You'd have these people come in, and they're not gonna come now. Even if they wanted to get on a plane and come, New Jersey won't allow them. They have to quarantine, etc. So Isherwood.
So do you see this as just being drawing upon the local market basically?
I think it's Northeast. When you look at the states that don't have to quarantine, come into the show, it's really the Northeast. Like you said before, we were doing really bad in the beginning. We were the poster child of what you didn't want to be as a state, and with COVID, but now it's flipped. Now we're doing great. We're doing probably top 5, top 10 best in the country, and other states are trying to emulate us. So I think it's going to be still local, the Northeast states coming in, driving in, as opposed to people flying in. That's what I think.
Well, do you see, like, if the bigger shows do shut down, and to expand on Michael Goucheran's comment, maybe we do more, or yourself, sponsor more smaller shows instead of, since we won't have, our appetite,
Right.
For a bigger show, we won't have that satisfied, So I mean, for me, I'm doing a show or I'm shopping a show every weekend. every weekend under normal circumstances. So, there's been, I'm just, the action, not getting the action has just been devastating. But if we can manage smaller shows and more frequent smaller shows, maybe that's appeases our appetite for the show in itself.
Right. I think Mike had a great question, and I think 100% the smaller shows are going to those smaller shows are going to get bigger, be able to grow within their space, like I did for the Wayne show. I think that's happening already, and this is another kick that the shows are getting, is that there's no competition. There's no shows. There's no big shows. Somebody's not saying I'm saving my money to go to New York Comic Con. There's none of it.
Yeah.
So I think
your downtrend on spending usually happens before a big heritage auction. That's usually people are like, oh, I'm pacing myself. There's some stuff in heritage I want. I mean, that's kind of the thing. I mean, my sales weren't down because the budget collector comes to me, and the volume I make it up on volume. But I did hear, the heritage is coming up, so I'm pacing myself. When my friend Jason wanted a bigger, medium-sized piece, but he wanted to bid on something in heritage.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that's why there's a surge with people spending at my shows as well. They have more to spend, and they gotta scratch the itch, I call it.
Right. And I've been seeing a lot of talk about the smaller shows coming back, and and it makes a lot of sense, because if you can when you're a smaller show, you can control your attendance. You can keep people outside, and that they don't know any better. So starting small, and then hopefully being part of a venue that you can grow with, that can add the extra 5,000-6,000 square feet when you need it. It's a great opportunity, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, when I was young, that's all there was, right? I mean, really, there was, when I was a kid growing up in Cleveland, we had creation cons come through in the 80s, but other than that, I didn't see a really big show until I went to San Diego around 99 or 2000 or something. So small shows were, there's nothing wrong with small shows, I think. And then if there's more of them, all the better.
I collect sports cards as well. And I go to this monthly show in like South Plainfield, New Jersey. There's literally, 12 tables, and I'm happy to be there. I'm so happy just to speak with a dealer, speak with another collector. Like Anthony said, the action, being around it. I look forward to it it's like my own little pleasure every month. I get to go to this show, wait on a line and not care, and just smile and getting ready to go, and buying sports cards. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, cards have come up in a big way. And sports stuff, to try to make up for some of the lost revenue from the shows, I went into my stuff and pulled out my good sports stuff and put it in the last Heritage Platinum auction. So I think people are selling online more, and they're buying online more. It's become, the domain and the habitat. Our habitat now is more, more virtual in that respect. I like it live. I thrive on the live shows. When San Diego canceled, I had to fight back the tears, basically, because I knew that whole trip wasn't going to happen. But I'm just looking forward to getting, at least on a weekly basis, someplace to go and spend money and make stuff happen. So, I would encourage you, Joe. Let's think about, the next art show in a quicker manner. Let's do that. I say let's because it's right across the street from my warehouse. The Holiday Inn is. I literally could walk there. So that's the most convenient show in the history of mankind.
Yeah, Encore has a good question. Are mall shows an option due to larger spaces? Actually, I do a mall show now, and where I thought that show was going to be kind of like the show that grows the slowest over the length of time, it's been like a boom. The mall is actually perfect right now in this environment to do a great show. The hallway areas, there's no kiosk anymore. There's no furniture because that promotes social gathering. So what do? You have all that mall space. You could give people the dealers massive space and frontage behind them. They put up these amazing displays. There's really no toy dealers around anymore. Most of the show is toys and comics. So they do very, very well. The mall's responsible for monitoring the people in and out. It's great. And in October, the end of October, we're going to do a huge show. The mall is backing it, I'm backing it, and the food truck company is backing it. And we're going to pull this huge mega event on. That's just some of the things that you would never think a year ago would be possible. We're going to take over some of the vacant stores now. Unfortunately, a lot of those retailers went out of business. So now what do these malls do with the space? So the things that I had at my other shows, my Toy-Con shows, whether it was Japanese candy cabs or the old arcades or die-cast racing, slot cars, all these different aspects within pop culture, you're going to come to the mall and get a map and go into the different places and do different things and have great food, listen to great music, and being around, toys and collectibles all day. So the mall's loving it. They're backing it 100% because, again, they're trying to get eyeballs.
Well, they're trying to get traffic. I mean, brick and mortar retail needs traffic now, period. You got to incentivize the people to come out and you got
to provide something for them. You got to get them there.
Now with the mall show, though, you're not going to have any ticket sales, right? Because you're not going to be able to control that. But it's straight up the exhibitor booths.
Generally, yes. But I noticed that when there was a food truck festival at my last show, they did it in such a way outside and inside. The way they did it, you had to get like a wristband to go in certain areas. So there was a way to capture that revenue stream a little bit. It's not as much as like my own show and my own space, but the space is so ideal for dealers. It's easy to sell a lot of tables. They all do well. They love the traffic. The stores love the traffic. The restaurants love it. Everything just works together well. It gels nicely at these malls. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking to do more in malls. I'm not opposed to doing a comic art show in a mall. I'm just thinking outside the box. What's a great location where people feel safe, and it's a great venue for the deal, for dealers and for attendees with parking and everything else. So the mall is definitely an option. Sometimes it is.
Mm-hmm. No, I could see it. Right. I mean,
it is.
Especially with the number of dealers you have in your neck of the woods too. So it would be easier for them to get in. And if there's an easy load in and load out, I mean,
it's so simple. They park right there. They roll out of that aisle. They're there.
Right.
No elevators, no nothing. It's just simple. Yeah, it works. It works well. Even Anthony would like it.
It wouldn't be as convenient for him.
Where's that mall show?
It's at East Brunswick Square Mall in East Brunswick, New Jersey.
I go to Palisades Center when under normal circumstances, and that's one of the, powerhouse malls in the Northeast. And there's so much aisle space in that place. Maybe you should check into Palisades Center in White Plains.
Yeah, I'm looking to
oh my God, that place is huge.
Yeah. I'm looking to do that soon to kind of show the directors of these malls, look what we're doing here. We could do this for you there. It's an easy fit for them.
Yeah, and I'm creating, 500, 1,000 to however many, novel visitors to your space that might create more business in the future. I mean, that's
right.
Customer acquisition for them for free, basically.
Yep, you're right.
I like it. I definitely like it. So who are the dealers that are committed to going to the show on the 20th?
The dealer list. Drum roll, please. Of course, Anthony.
In alphabetical order.
That's not in order, to be honest. But Anthony, obviously, Nathan Rose, Brad Savage, Brian Kong, the artist, Albert Moy, Will Gabriel, and Bashara are the dealers.
Well, that's good. I know Will have his mask on. He's very pro mask. He'll probably have 2 masks on it.
Oh yeah, I double mask it up when I go out like that. At your show, I double masked it up.
Yeah,
but I mean, I was not that I felt uncomfortable, but I just, you know, you gotta be safe.
Yeah, I don't walk around with the little white and blue mask. I have the RZ borderline Bane looking mask. You know, it's got a filter. It's, you know, it's high tech. You know, why not? You know, we all want to be safe. You know.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, I own that golf course, and I have to be masked up every day when I'm over there. But yeah, you got to do it.
Are you seeing people come back to your retail spot, Bill? I mean, is your traffic back to normal? 50%, 75? What do you think?
No, we honestly, you know, I mean, everybody, most people know I have that miniature golf course, but our business has been totally normal. Believe it or not, I had a record June when we opened up it right after Memorial Day, because it's socially distancing already, right? Everybody's 30 feet apart.
Yeah. That is.
And it's outside. I had a bad July because it was 90 degrees the first 2 weeks of the month, and then it rained the second 2 weeks. And July's usually my best. July is usually my big month. So my June was bigger than July, and my August was better than July. And I wasn't selling ice cream, and I still had. If I would have sold ice cream and had a decent July, I'd be ahead of last year, and last year was a record year for me. So just in that regard, we were fortunate, because restaurants around here aren't doing well. I mean, the movie theaters aren't. People just don't have anything to do. So I really did luck out in having that as our business. But yeah, I mean, just like everything else, people want to get out. People want to have an experience. They want to have a good time with their family. And
they want normalcy. They want to feel for a second escapism.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And your venue created that, and there's a lot of pent up demand for that.
Right, and that's why, you know, the mall concept is really a good idea, honestly, because it gets people out and so they can see the show, but they can also get out and spend money at the retail shops, and it's everything that they want to do, but sometimes they're just too afraid to do it. So, you know, your show can be the thing that kind of tips them out there. So if malls are smart, you show them that you do one good one or 2 good ones, you know, all of the malls should be kind of falling in line to want to work with you.
Right. Yep. That's I think what's happening already. I've gotten phone calls already. So I think it's gonna grow.
Very good.
I support the idea of doing frequency. You know, let's get them moving. You know, to have more shows more often of the smaller variety. And you know, I'll call JP and like push him on that too, because he uses the same Holiday Inn on 17 across from me, and you know, now that you've broken the ice there, he should be able to get back running his comic book show there as well. And so
I keep telling him, it's a small room on the side, do comics, I'll do art. We'll keep them separate and create like a little, you know, cross promotion event. You know, why not? Yeah,
I mean, the rooms he was using in Wayne were pretty big. It was good. That comic show, that the first one he did, you know, and he tried to you know, stagger people going into the rooms and counting, you know, and do all that. But you know, if things continue to get better, that'll relax. You know, that we'll be able to, you know, come and go more freely in those situations, and yeah.
If anything taught me anything, is just take one day at a time. You know, you could plan, and you know, you would plan 2-3 months ahead with the venue and change the insurance around and do the promotion. And then, you know, things weren't right. And the governor said, nope, we're not ready yet. And then you had to this year was working 10 times harder behind the scenes to make it happen. But I feel the rest of the year, what's planned, I feel strongly it'll happen. And we'll see what 2021 brings. That's it. All we can do is just keep working hard and stay positive and stay healthy and live your life, and you know, and still enjoy your hobbies. You know, enjoy and be sensible, be smart.
Exactly.
You know, that's how I've built my business, was one day at a time and show up when I needed to, until the government told me I couldn't show up. You know, the big shows told me I couldn't show up, you know, so that was the hardest part of this business, you know, this whole period. Oh, no, you can't show up. I'm like, that goes against my whole shark nature, where I just need to keep swimming forward. And
Right.
But yeah, it's one day at a time and doing your best with what we have to work with and under the circumstances. And that's how we've gotten through it and, you know, prospered, actually.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm sitting here with you two fine folks having a great. Never would have happened.
Exactly. Getting the three of us on a chat.
Three of us on a chat.
If it wasn't for COVID, I know. You gotta look at these things as opportunities, and you know, I think clearly all three of us have. You know, I mean, we've taken something that really was big negative, and we found ways to do well in it. I mean, that's great, because not you know, a lot of people will let it get them down. So
you're right.
Hey,
I'm out.
Nick Katratis wants to know if the restaurant's going to be open for seating that day.
No, that day
he needs to get a Greek salad there.
Yeah, he wants. What's he want? Grape? Was it grape leaves?
Yeah, I got to get the
hummus.
Damadas, the wrapped grape spice rice and the grape leaf.
Hey, you know,
there's no chicken parms are good there.
I'm going to tell everybody right now, there's no food at the hotel.
Yeah, there's no food, right? Yeah.
No nothing. That was a whole bone of contention there, that the kitchen was attached to the actual room that we rent. So, you know, it was this big thing. I was like, you know, there's no way, you know, we need any food in that room, anything, any drink. So everybody, you know, don't come hungry. Drink something before you go in, you know, before you come in the show. Leave it in the car and proceed like that.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But hey, just so you guys know, I am also Greek, although I don't look Greek. But my mother's last name's my mom's maiden name is Stavrakis. So I grew up on Greek.
No
leaves,
way.
And oh yeah, you name it, I've had it. So Nick and I have a lot in common.
No, Nick and I are actually from the same island of Chios, but we fight like brothers, that's for sure. Right, Nick? We're too much alike, I guess. No,
Yeah.
my real name is Adonis Sinadinis, so that's, you know, my dad changed it to Snyder a long time ago, and I'm Anthony Snyder. So, and then I did my DNA, and I came back mostly Italian. That was the funny part.
How much Italian?
Oh, like mostly. Like I thought, you know, my dad's fully Greek from the island of Chios, and then my mother is French and German, you know, very white, super white. And so I thought I was 50% Greek, and it was like 42% Italian and 8% Greek. And I was like, what? But I don't know. I lived in Italy for 2 years. Maybe it just all the Italian shit on your shoes rubbed off.
I don't think that can change your DNA, though, Anthony.
No.
And it's scientifically not possible, I believe. But you can believe what you want.
So is your mother from northern Greece? Is she fair? Does she have light eyes?
No, she's very, very dark. I mean, her father was, you know, he came over on the boat, Basil Stavrakis. So yeah, he was a rum runner with Dillinger and crazy stuff. So, but in the Youngstown area. So.
No way, really?
I got that all in my background. So yeah, that's how it is. But
well, you know, my dad was from Steubenville.
I do know that.
Yeah. So that whole there was a whole circuit there between that you know, Ohio and Chicago, and when the Chicago money moved to Vegas and built Las Vegas, as we, you know, as the original builders, let's say.
Well, there you go. Well, listen, Joe, I'm going to call it a night. You good with that, Anthony?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I
just look forward to more, you know, more shows, more action. You guys, everybody, you know, I see some of the regulars at the, you know, Nick and James, And, those are some regular guys, come on out and support this show and the dealers. And let's get this off the ground and let's make this happen on a more consistent basis with some more frequency. That's why I wanted to, do a session here and promote the show and get this off the ground for all of us. It's not just for me and my business, but, for the market itself to grow back. We basically got our tail cut off and we got to grow it back like a lizard or something,
All right. So it's Sunday the 20th. Show opens at noon.
September 20th. The show is from 10 to 4.
Oh, 10.
Yep, 10 to 4. Comic art dealers, they gotta ease into their display. It's not like the toy guys, they just throw it up.
Right.
But
Nice.
10 to 4,
And
I think it's going to be a good turnout.
yeah, and I'm going to have that whole solarium area, right?
You have a huge majority of it.
I talked to Frank this week, and he said he wasn't going to come. Is that your understanding? You didn't mention him, did
I
you?
had to move Brad up there, but you have from the door to the door, you have a huge area. So
You had to move Brad up there? My man.
Gotta move the social distancing, baby. Gotta keep you guys away. But only 2 of you.
I'll bet you my table, whatever you want to charge me on my tables, I'll bet you the double or nothing that he doesn't show up.
I'm not willing to take that bet. No.
Okay.
He says it though. He says he's got a car ready. He's renting a car. He's gonna be there. That's all I'm saying. He hasn't let me down yet. He hasn't let me down yet.
Then he won't make a sale, and he'll be like antagonizing me to buy something from him the last hour of the show. Oh, Anthony, I haven't made a sale. I got to sell something. Oh. If Brian Kong is coming, does that mean Carbo's coming? Oh no.
Carbo is coming.
Yeah, I saw Carbo on the list.
Yeah, he says that he has a dealer, or not a dealer. He's a collector of a lot of golden age art, and he's excited about bringing him there. That's what I love. Last but not least, Bill. That's what I love about the show too. It's the people that don't fancy themselves as a dealer. It's those collectors that get the table. It's people walking in the room. You don't know what they have in their bag. It's the excitement of it's like going to see a collection for the first time. That excitement that just never gets old. So many things in life get old. That doesn't ever. So to me, the show is always exciting to go to. I'm going to see more art than I could see anywhere else. And you never know who's going to literally have a portfolio piece of something you were looking for, or a grail. That's what it's about.
Exactly. Well, the show's in the right location, that's for sure. Being in it. Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, I know that I've talked to Mike Berkey a few times, and he said that, he's seen a few things there that he would not have seen had he not gone to the show. And I know he doesn't go every year, but like, I remember he had one experience where it was like, there was some book he was trying to complete, and the page that he needed showed up at your show. And
you told me that story. Yeah.
So you literally just don't know. But yeah, your show definitely is in the right place. That's for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, listen, hey, make sure you post some photos. Maybe we can do like a recap on CAF of some kind, as far as like how the show went, and and at least kind of like make as many mentions about the show as we can leading up to the next one too.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I want to help out.
Any content you need, I'm not good at this. You know that. So any content that you think you need creatively to do what you do,
sure,
you let me know.
I'll think about it. I'll take some phone pictures and send them. I'll make sure that it's covered in that way for you. I'll do it.
I appreciate it.
And
Sounds
see
good.
Anthony's comic book art for a new update today. I got a lot of great new stuff in this week, and got a few covers, and and I'm expecting a big deal in later this week too. Maybe over the weekend, like 1,000 pieces.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So things are getting juiced up here.
good. Well,
That's
then
good.
I'll expect some good sales next week to report on.
Oh, sure. I could tell you one, when we come off this, and I'll tell you what just happened.
All right, everybody. Well, with that in mind, we're going to call it a night. Thanks for showing up. We'll be at it again with Comic Art Live next Tuesday with Berkey and Glenn and Will, and we're going to be talking a recap on the Heritage Auction that just started today, and that should be a lot of fun. And then I'm going to actually do a one-on-one interview with collector Larry Wilson the following week, because that's usually our the week we take off. We usually do 2 weeks on, 1 week off. So I was talking with Larry, and we decided we would do an interview just between the two of us in place of that show. So lots of stuff on the forecast here. So, all right, again, good night. Thanks, Joe, Anthony.
Thanks again.